this next topic is very much in line with the last topic, but it doesn't have anything to do with scalping in particular, but it has to do with products, gaming products in general, which I don't know how much I've really talked about it on this show, but I enjoy collecting game hardware. Now, I don't want to go for every single piece of hardware and like every variant out there. Like, I think about I have a Nintendo 64 sitting in front of me. I don't really care about having every single color Nintendo 64, but I think they're pretty neat. I would be happy to get one other color of it, just because I think they're neat. But there are certain pieces that I care about. So a great example to me is having all the colors of a controller. So yeah, maybe I don't want let's see, they're called Google type the Fun Pack. Nintendo 64. I might have the wrong word in there. It's not called the Fun Pack. It's like the other colors of Nintendo 64. Oh, come on. Nintendo 64 colors. Because I know they're under a certain series. If I could just find what they're called, that would be great. I don't mean this to be like stalling. I legitimately want to know the color variants. I know one of them's called like Atomic Purple, and then there's like it's not like a neon green. It's like almost like a watermelon-y sort of green. Oh, the Fantastic Jungle Green console. Yeah, that's it. They're the Fantastic line. Like, I don't need every fantastic color Nintendo 64, but maybe it'd be neat to have one of the fantastic color controllers, because that's just fun, right? So when it comes to this sort of collecting thing, I remember there's a particular story that comes to mind. In October, October is the setup. In October of 2019, the purple and orange Nintendo Switch Joy-Con came out, and there's also like a blue one, the neon yellow one, which is annoying because I would get that if the yellow one that didn't come with it was the right one, because I actually need a replacement left one, but that's not for drift, not for this Joy-Con drift thing, because I feel super lucky in that I haven't experienced it. I don't know. But I need a new left neon yellow Joy-Con, but that's a story for another time. And then I came home in December, and I remember looking out for Christmas gifts for people with my mom. And I was telling her about how my girlfriend, the one who wants the Animal Crossing New Horizons console that I feel very lucky to have been able to spend the $300 on. I was telling my mom about how my girlfriend wants the purple and orange Joy-Con because it's pretty simply a reminder of Halloween. They look spooky, and Halloween's her favorite holiday. And I remember my mom saying to me, "Brandon, they're taking advantage of you. Why do you need all of these colors when you're never going to use them?" Now, my pragmatic side is in complete agreement. Is there any good reason why I need red Joy-Con and blue Joy-Con and yellow ones and green ones and pink ones and gray ones and like the Smash Bros. Ones, the Animal Crossing ones, like I talked about not too long ago. Now, in what scenario am I ever going to use all of these controllers or ever have all of them connected, right? Or, just for comparison, like if we're talking about consoles, like what about consoles that can only have a certain number of controllers connected at one time? So like the PS1 and the PS2, for example, those can only use 2 controllers without purchasing a multi-tap. So why would I get more than 2 controllers unless I'm going to get a multi-tap, right? And so my argument, I didn't tell her this, but my argument in general in terms of getting, or rather collecting products like this, is about something that I think I've brought up a couple of times on this show, and that is preservation. And I think that's something that a lot of people understand on some level or another, because one day we want future generations to see, hey, look, this is a game we played in the year 2020, and, this is the thing that we used to play these games with in 2020, and then you can extend that to other parts of the experience too. Like, look at this. There was this particular version of a piece of hardware from this year. Look at this color. Isn't it neat? Some person out there designed this. They made this. And you can extend this out. Like, why would somebody want to collect Amiibo to the extent that I have? It's to make sure that in some time in the future, people can see that video games and toys, they intersected. Because sure, we can show people photos and videos of all these things, right? But it isn't the same thing to just show someone an image of something as it is to let them see the relics from a particular era. It's the same like if you ever go to a history museum, it's one thing to like see a picture of a cannon that was used in some old war. I don't know, like the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, if you're talking in the United States. But it's a totally different thing to go there and have behind some velvet ropes one of the actual cannons from that war. I guess it's just a very different feeling to be like, whoa, that's the thing they used at this point 250-ish years ago, right? That's like, wow, isn't that something? Or to be able to see like an old 1930s car as opposed to seeing an image of a 1930s car. It's very different to be like, like I can see the parts and how they all work, right? And it's the same reason. It's the same idea here. It's like, okay, well, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna use an Amiibo again because I think that's relevant. Like, it's one thing for me to show you this nice, cool 8-bit link here in imagery. It's another thing to actually have it in your hand, right? That's the idea. And it's the same reason why, even though it would be much, much more convenient, I still buy physical copies of games whenever possible. Because the items that you get with the game are all part of the experience. That was something I was talking about in the Psychology of Game Reproduction segment, right? And that's not to say that every game needs something like a collector's edition that has all these extras, because a bunch of them end up being put up for sale or are just put out for free by local game shops that can't get rid of them because they take up like too much space. People are just like, I don't really care that much anymore. But things that came with every game at one point, like the manual, the box art, those are important to preserve because those were a part of the game experience. People who grew up in the 80s or even the 90s and the 2000s, they talk about being a kid, and it's like, well, I can't play the game because they don't have the system with them. It's likely a console game. But yeah, I could flip through the pages of the manual and see the artwork, and it's like, that's neat. It's part of the experience. And I even compared it, like, with a car, right? If you can get a car from the 1950s in mint condition, that on its own, it's amazing. But being able to get the car uh, with the original paperwork in it, like you get the 1950s car, and it's like you open up the glove box, whoa, there's the manual in here, or even things like the paperwork from the person that bought it. That's even better because you can see the journey that something went on, right? That's what this is all about, is seeing how are things now. Actually, it's funny, I brought up the why I still buy physical copies of games. That's why, well, actually, I don't buy a ton of digital download only game, at least some independent games. I certainly buy some. I buy ones that I'm interested in, usually when they go on sale. But sometimes I like to wait. And I like to wait because chances are there will be a. Well, this is something that I want to make its own segment eventually, but like there are companies like Limited Run, Super Rare Games that will take independent games and make a limited number of physical copies of them. And it's like, that's great. That's wonderful. I would be, sure, I could just download something like, like the first one they did was, I think it was Thimbleweed Park for the Switch. That was the first Switch release they did, and then a way long time ago they started on PS4 games, right? I don't remember which game it was, the first one for the PS4, but I remember what the first Switch game was, of course. But if I could get it on cartridge as opposed to just putting the data on my system, I think it would be way cooler, because the cartridge is part of the experience. The little teeny itty bitty artwork, that's part of the gaming experience there. And it would just be a shame if that was gone. So that's kind of the long and the short of why I think collecting is important. Because I mean, yeah, pragmatically, having a huge collection of the same controller in different colors, or like with a different picture on it or something like that, isn't really practical. But regardless, I would certainly say I'm going to use the whole collection of whatever thing I have at some point, because I make a point of using all my goods. Like, I don't do this constantly, but I fairly frequently, then at least seems like every month, every 2 months at least, I switch out which Joy-Con I have on the side of my Switch, just for the sake of it. Because maybe sometimes, I'm kind of sick of the yellow ones. Why don't I go with the blue ones? Blue ones are okay. How about the red ones? I only have red, blue, and yellow, so I can't really do a lot of switching right now. But I use them all. So while in the short term, it's not very practical to have a collection of anything, I care a lot more about the long term in regard to these products, because I care about preserving this history, because it's very similar to the old video games as art sort of argument, and that you want to preserve something that is art, something that somebody went out of their way to create, even if we don't think of the creation necessarily as a traditional art, like painting a painting, or filming a film. Not that we've been doing that for over 100 years. Someone put effort into it. Someone took the time to design, create, and I want to make sure that future generations see what these people did. So that is my defense for why I need red, blue, yellow, green, pink, orange and purple, Smash Brothers, uh, Animal Crossing, and probably more eventually. 8 plus pairs of Joy-Con and however many Pro Controller variants and whatever other variants of things there are. Because somebody did the hard work to make them, and my one day, nowhere near now, grandchildren need to see that somebody made these and the hard work that went into making them. Anyway, why don't we move on to the final topic in this episode?